Steve, go for it.
Good morning, guys. So I'll give you a little bit of a background about ERB and I'll move on to some of the products we actually provide as well. So, good morning, guys. I'm Steve Chilton. I'll give you a quick overview of ERB commercial risks and how we support business with insurance and risk management. I've worked in the commercial insurance industry for 30 years, 12 years as a fleet and trade underwriter, and 18 years as a broker. This experience allows me to both understand both sides of the market and deliver better outcomes for our clients. ERB Commercial Risk is an independent family-owned brokerage which was established in 2014, which is owned by my MD banks and by Catherine Banks. We specialise in providing bespoke insurance and risk management solutions for businesses, private clients and specialist sectors. We're FCA regulated, Lloyd's accredited and fully qualified from the Child Insurance Institute. Everyone who works for ERB is essentially either have the qualification or they immediately have to work towards it to be part of the team. Our focus is simple: tailored service and long-term client relationships. We're not really interested in having clients for 1 year or 2 years to really kind of work with us. We want to build long-term relationships with our clients and integrate ourselves with their businesses so we can better help them over the years. What sets ERB apart is our approach. Our team's highly experienced. Obviously, I've got 30 years worth of experience. Every account director within the business has got a minimum of 25 years experience working in commercial insurance. We take time to understand each client's businesses in detail. We never assume cover is correct, and we review and challenge it when we can. We educate clients on changes in legislation in the insurance market, and we provide full claims support and single point of contact 7 days a week. All our claims are managed in-house. We have a claims manager who used to work for an insurance company set up their entire claims procedure. So, if anything, she's probably better than some of our actual insurance claims departments. She's already spotted 2 fraudulent claims and had to flag them to the insurance company this year alone, which they weren't aware of. So, ultimately, we prioritise service and clarity in an industry that can often feel complex, and it shouldn't need to be. Where there is, we make you understand it where you need to. We arrange commercial insurance for businesses all sizes from sole traders to large corporations. Ultimately, we're probably better the more complex the insurance arrangement. It's not so we can't deal with a sole trader, but ultimately, we really show our teeth when we're dealing with more complex risks. Areas include property and commercial combined insurance, liability cover, public employers products, motor fleet transport, professional indemnity and cyber liability, directors and offices, specialist areas like construction, waste and marine cover. In simple terms, commercial insurance is about finding solutions for unique risks. No two businesses are ever the same, and that's how insurance should be treated. How we add value. One of our biggest strengths is our ability to present clients effectively to insurers. Because of my underwriting background, I understand what insurers look for, how they assess risk, how to position a business to better secure competitive terms. Strong relationships and trust in the market allow us to negotiate more competitive premiums, broader and more appropriate cover. Here are a couple of quick examples. I visited a bakery which had a 20 million turnover, which now is floating on the stock exchange. They had no disaster recovery plan, they had no asset list, they were significantly underinsured, and we identified gaps and implemented business interruption cover to protect them and cover them for perils they weren't really covered for. A construction firm faced repeated injury claims. We introduced health and safety procedures which reduce the frequency of incidents and improve their risk profile, leading to lower premiums. The landscapers policy excluded use of powered machinery when they approached me. Despite using it day to day, I'm not sure many landscapers can't use a chainsaw these days. I don't want to see someone hanging up a tree using a hacksaw, but yeah, hang on. We corrected this and reduced the premium at the same time. I think these examples will show our attention to detail and our proactive risk management and should make a real difference to anyone's business. To summarise, ERB provides tailored insurance solutions, expert guidance, proactive risk management, and a high level of personal service. As an account director, effectively, my clients deal with me 365 days a year. I wouldn't necessarily encourage them to ring me on Christmas Day, particularly in the latter part of the afternoon, because I might not necessarily give the best advice. But I have had phone calls over the Christmas period, and I know my clients would only ever call me if it was urgent. And as far as I'm concerned, if that phone rings, I know it's urgent. And that's how it should be. You should be able to respond to it. If you're unsure about your current cover and experience with rising premiums or not getting the service you expect, what I've explained, come and speak to me. Right. Give you a bit more detail on some of the products we actually provide. So this is to do with D&O and cyber insurance. Both of these are extremely popular products for a variety of reasons, but I'll kind of go into that. Right. We'll start with the more traditional topic, which is directors' and officers' cover, which is also known as management liability. And I'll move on to something a bit more common, which is obviously the concerning cyber risk. Right, D&O protects the personal position of directors and senior managers that represent a business. Claims made against them for a wrongful act, policy covers legal defence costs and any compensation. Wrongful acts can include breach of duty, neglect or errors, misleading statements, wrongful trading. In short, if a decision you make in your role is challenged, this policy is there to protect you personally. Directors and senior managers can personally be sued by shareholders, employees, regulators, and third parties. And without cover, they could face disqualification or significant legal costs or fines or even criminal proceedings. So what might feel nice to have for many businesses is actually essential protection. Now, before we move on, quick show of hands. Who's got motor insurance? Who's got property insurance? Who's got liability cover? Who's got cyber cover? So the last one always gets fewest hands, and that's exactly the issue. Business is becoming more digital, and cyber risk has become one of the biggest threats. A few quick stats for you. 46% of businesses experienced a cyber breach in the last year. Cybercrime has increased by 400% since 2020. And 90% of breaches are caused by human error. This isn't an IT issue, it's a business risk. So let me bring this to life with a few quick examples. So a phishing attack. Business owner receives what looks like a legitimate supplier email, verifies it, makes a payment, but the email account has been compromised. Loss of £4,000. Ransomware. One business reacts immediately, cost is around £10,000. Another delay is reported in 5 days, cost rise to £80,000. Human error. An employee sends sensitive data to the wrong person. 200 employees affected. Total claim £227,000. And these aren't unusual cases. They're happening every day. You only have to look at Marks Spencer's, for example, at the beginning of the year. I think what people don't realise is there's a lot of cyber claims that happen with big corporations that never go reported. I'm pretty certain British Airways have been impacted on more than a few occasions over the years, but it's reputational damage. So most people don't ever want to put their hand up when they have actually been impacted. So what does cyber insurance actually provide? Well, firstly, prevention. Provides training, risk management support, access to cyber specialists. Secondly, immediate response, 24/7 incident helpline, IT forensic experts, legal and PR support. And as we all know, that big corporations, it's all about potentially reputational damage. The moment you've been impacted, affects the share value and a multitude of different other things. After the event, investigation, financial support, and help strengthen them to prevent it happening again. It's not just insurance, it's access to expertise when you need it most. So to wrap it up, cyber risk is growing, evolving, and in many cases unavoidable. The question isn't whether business will face a threat, it's how prepared they are when it happens. If you would like to support how this applies to your business or review a current cover, I'll be very happy to have a conversation. But I'll open up if there's any questions on anything I've actually mentioned.
I think we need a one-to-one. I guess I should be selling your cyber cover to my new website owners as and when.
And then it's like with anything, when it comes to cyber cover, there are effectively entry-level insurance covers. There are specialist insurance providers that only deal in cyber insurance. For example, there's a company called Coalition. What they would actually do is they would actually do an in-depth review on the client, identify weaknesses in their websites, whether passwords can be accessed, and effectively give you a report. And that report can be ongoing over the period of the insurance. So essentially, it's the extension of your business, as it were, that can identify when there are actually weaknesses. But coalition cover tends to be with a very large commercial companies, because what they're providing is so much more in-depth understanding of cyber policy. But it's like with anything. Obviously, there's a market available. If you need a kind of entry-level policy to kind of build your business up, and as your building grows and expands, then you can potentially upskill or up the level of cover you've actually got. But I say cyber cover it's so diverse what it provides cover for these days. And I think this is the thing, we're seeing so many examples. And if I'm only seeing a percentage of examples, because not everyone is actually telling me when they've been exposed,
Yeah.
the length and breadth of what potentially is being impacted, I mean, because, yeah, as far as the eye can see.
Steve, what's a good referral for you to get you in? We've all got lots of leaders where you want to, hook people in. What's an easy referral and a good one for you to get the client in the first place, and then you can send the services?
I think, to be honest with you, I mean, look, insurance is it's not everyone's favourite subject, is it? Everyone sees it as a kind of, it's a cost, it's a necessary cost, but they kind of wonder what they're actually getting for it. Ultimately, what I want from is somebody who is basically, I pay my premium, I never see the broker, I don't know what I'm really getting. When I seem to have an issue, they seem to go on the missing list. That's not how we approach business. As far as I'm concerned, I'm an extension of your business. If you've got a headache or your business is growing or kind of, you might be making an acquisition or what have you, insurance shouldn't be the last thing you think about. You should be consulting me and I would be consulting you on what steps you may need to take, whether there's considerations you haven't actually made. Ultimately, we should be that sounding board. We might be able to turn around and say the current portfolio is fine.
You can do an overview anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's the thing, businesses evolve. I mean, you've got to consider that some of our clients, I mean, one of the examples I've used is a company that essentially we started dealing with about 14 years ago, which was a waste company, a couple of port cabins, a couple of skip lorries and stuff like that. They now run Essex Waste. So Essex County Council, that our client, is now an £80 million contract. They weren't the size they are now when we started dealing with them. Now, I can't say that it was specifically down to us or our level of connections, but I'd like to think we would have played an important role in there that potentially they weren't overpaying on their insurance costs. So potentially it mean they could actually upskill their fleet and the contracts they were actually dealing with and more employees. It could have been the fact they were better protected because the portfolio had been put in place, which meant they weren't exposed to any shortcomings on insurance arrangements. It could have been the fact we've opened doors to them. And this is the thing with an insurance broker. We should be just evaluating on the basis of what we actually bring to the table for your insurance portfolio. We have an extensive list of clients, and there is a degree of crossover. We always encourage our clients to do business with one another because ultimately it's meant to have a relationship with our clients, and ultimately it opens doors and gives you business. And that's how it should be. It should be a reciprocal arrangement.
If you're registered with Cyber Essentials, you get a discount.
Well, Cyber Essentials will give you a basic degree of cover. The sort of policies we provide are providing an extension on what Cyber Essentials will provide. And I think, to be honest with you, if Cyber Essentials, it's a benefit, but I think the moment you're going down that route, you probably should be looking at your own arrangement and having it tailored to what you actually need it for. I mean, certain businesses will always be more exposed than others. For example, with your business, the fact that you have lots of client data, you'd always be targeted. Businesses that have high volumes of payments going through will always be targeted. So every business is different, none two are the same, but essentially there's always going to be particular businesses that are actually targeted before anyone else. But to be honest with you, in 5 years from now, I mean, D&O was a very popular product sort of 5 years ago. Now cyber has really overtaken that now. And in 5 years' time, every single person will have cyber cover. But at the moment, it's still one of those ones, do I really need it? And it's always after the event, and that's when it's like, probably should have some degree of cover. But I mean, the thing is, I would suggest, I mean, even with basic level cyber cover, it's probably no more than a couple £100. So that, for a couple £100 and it protects your business, it might not cover the entire extent of the actual loss, but at least having something there in place for what is a minimal cost to a business, I'd always suggest having it. You can always up it over a period as the business grows and evolves. Anyone else?
Dave, thank you very much indeed. Very well done.